Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bikini and the Brain. I'm here with the Bikini.
That's me.
The goat, Ashley Kaltwasser.
I don't know what goats do. Goats are they're interesting animals. They can climb on mountains, like vertical. And I love the fainting goats. That's my favorite type of goat, the kind that faint, like when they're startled and they just stiffen up. And then there's also the screaming goats.
Oh, yeah.
Very wide variety of goats.
Yeah. You know? The fainting goats are the ones they use as scapegoats.
Oh,
They put those in with sheep, and so they're small. So when a wolf comes in to chase the sheep, the fainting goat will be easy prey. Oh. And they're small, and I guess they just consider them less desirable. I don't know. But they put them in with like things like that, so they faint, and then the wolf eats that versus eating their sheep, which I guess are more valuable. Who knows? Scapegoat.
Very fascinating.
There you go. Yeah,
we learned something today.
Don't be one of those.
Okay. Yes, I don't want to be one of those.
Yeah, those are not that, but they're so cute too.
I just don't know how they survived evolution.
Right?
what a crappy defense mechanism.
Right?
How are they still here? I don't know.
Yeah, it makes you think, right? You're right. How does that happen? So we have Pippy. We call her the goat because she just crawls all over us. Like there's my dog Pippy. We call her goat because she just, for some reason, has no concept of this is someone's face. I shouldn't walk on it. Is
that what goats do?
They just walk all over everything. They jump on everything.
That.
Yeah, they jump on cars. But Pippy will be laying on the couch, and she'll just walk on her face and walk to get to wherever she gets. There's no concept of.
So rude. She needs some manners.
We have to we're trying to teach her. She doesn't seem to get it. It's so funny.
Definitely needs some manners.
Yes. So
rude.
Rude doggo. So today's podcast, we are talking about analyzing your strengths and weaknesses, not physically, but mentally.
Yes.
And I think
quirks.
And quirks.
Personality traits and quirks.
Yeah. And I think that this is a good episode to have some self-reflection on, some self-assessment on, see where you need to work on certain areas. As I've gotten older, I've noticed more and more of mine. They're just more identifiable, and when I identify them, I can work on them better, and I think it's important to notice that, hey, this is a weakness of yours. You need to be stronger here and, assess it. And I think everyone who's a competitor too really needs to do this.
Yes, absolutely. Even the things that we don't necessarily consider personality traits or whatever, just quirks, little things that we do, things that we like, things that we don't like, that kind of have an impact on our overall success. So this is a good piggyback off of last week's episode about mental strengths and are you mentally stronger than you think? This is going to kind of dive into more of our individualized things. And also we can kind of take a little look at what personality traits in general are good for success. So, a good little follow-up from last week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Heck yeah. So we all have personality traits that help us or can hold us back, or sometimes it's neutral. It can help in some circumstances and hurt us in others. So, with that being said, I think I wrote down this little list of some of mine. I'll go first. Some of my, I think, things that help me become a successful athlete or a successful person in general. And this is just something that I've noticed about myself, and feel free to chime in because maybe I'm doing things that I don't realize, or I'm perceived a different way than what I think. But I put number one on my list is I'm very reliable.
Super.
If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Some way, somehow, I'm going to freaking do it. If I say, yes, I'm doing this, you better believe I'll be there and I'll be early. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say I would agree with that. And I think that is in itself, not that it's not just that you're reliable. It's just that you stick to a goal and you commit, and this is something that and you've made me better at this too, because I know, if Ashley says we're going to check-ins at 4:00, I need to be at the elevator at 3:45 at the latest. And if I'm not, she's going to go there without me. That's just how it is, And so, okay, 4:00 means I need to be at her room 3:45, not 3:46. That's how it goes with Ashley. And it's great. I love it too, because it makes me better too. And makes me act like that more in my day. But it's not so much just that you're reliable. It's that small goals are just as important as big goals in terms of commitment to you. There's no variance of commitment level. And I think that that's a strong thing to look at for being a successful person. And, you don't have a variance on commitment, even though it's I'll get the check-ins at 4. Adam, meet me at 3:45 in my room. It's that's the same thing as Adam. Hey, we're heading down to the Olympia at 3:45, even if it's just, hey, we're heading to a posing seminar at 3:45 for whoever, right? Like it's the same level of commitment. It doesn't vary with you very much, you know?
Right.
So
totally. Especially when it comes to like committing to a person. Like if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, you know? Yeah. So it's very important to me.
Yeah. And I think that that's part of the reason for your success is that, you know, just the commitment part of it. And, you know, setting a plan and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And then you do it, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, you know, life takes over and you do have to like change plans. And I really try not to do that, you know, whenever I do have to change plans, even if it's something as simple as like an appointment or something, I do feel bad about it. But I try my best to, you know, keep what I always say, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I will try everything in my power to kind of make things work. If I say I want to do it. So what do you think your number one personality trait is that got you to where you are today?
You know, before we jump that, I want to jump into one more thing on that commitment thing that you're talking about, because I've talked about it in a podcast probably a long time ago, but it just got me thinking of another very successful competitor. So this one was Sean Roden, right? And one time I was talking to him and he was saying that same thing about commitment and times, and not just commitment of you to other people, but commitment to yourself, you know? And it was really cool. It was a really like short conversation, that one was, but it really stuck with me, you know? And it's because it stuck with me because I told you, I've said this story to you before, I was actually recording it because it got so good. And then I realized I wasn't recording. I just turned the thing on and I wish I had it, especially now, you know? But he was talking to another, a pro that I was working with. And he was telling her, I was like, what advice would you give her? You know? And he said, you know, the thing is, as you get more successful as a pro and as you start becoming more successful in the industry, you're going to start traveling more and more things are going to get in the way of things. So you need to, if you say, you know, if you work out at 9 o'clock every day, that just needs to be your thing. You work out at 9 o'clock every day. Even if you jump on a plane and you don't land till 10:30, then you go right to the gym because that's still on your time that you're supposed to be working out. You already missed that time. So you go right to the gym. You never give yourself a second to miss a commitment to yourself or miss that moment to yourself that you gave, you know? And so, that was, you know, when you think of things, even little things like that, you're not going to be that person that is, oh, I missed my workout today because it's too late. Oh, it's missed my workout today because it's too late. Oh, dang it, I didn't get my food in today. Like when you're regimented and scheduled like that, you know, and we've all seen that, right? As coaches and whatnot too, is people like, oh, I just got so busy. I couldn't work out. I didn't eat my food because I'm like, no, it's not that you didn't eat your food because you're too busy. It's because you planned poorly. Yeah. And you weren't committed to the day, right? Yeah. That type of thing. So,
you know, what's funny too, is like, now that you say that, I remember one scenario where I think I was getting back from a trip or something. I was really jet lagged and really tired. And I said, Adam, I don't think I can do the podcast. I'm way too tired today. And then I like sent that to you and then like, oh, okay, that's fine. I could do it myself. And then I sat on that for like a half an hour and like, did I forget who I am? What the heck am I talking? No, I'm doing it. You know, it's like I almost had to like snap out of it. Like, who am I? That's not me. And then just like, never mind, I'll be there.
That's like, that's that thing I talk about with the boxers, right? Where they go down that one time and they're like, it's just too hard, and then it gets too hard, and that's that one thing that you know, I've seen it since I was younger because I've watched it so much, and that's like, I don't know, I always use that as because it's just like it's like the highest level of mental pain and suffering is the boxing, right? And so that's what I was talking about, those guys, and they go down the first time and it's because it gets hard, and then all of a sudden they just keep going down, and you're like, no, you gave in that one time, and now it's just a little easier to give in the next, and it's just a little easier to give in the next. That happens with me when I had my shoulder injury. The only time I didn't work out in my life was that 6 months when I had that little shoulder injury where I should have went to the gym months earlier, but it took, instead of me being off the gym for 2 months, I was off for like 6, you know? And it was because I just couldn't get back in there. I couldn't get, you know, and I appreciate that I went through that because now I know how hard it is for people to get back into it. But also I was like, man, that was weak of me. You know, it's like, I can't believe that was me. Right. You know? And I can't even imagine that these days. Right. And it's like, just like you're like, I don't not do a podcast.
Yeah, like, who am I? I forgot who I was for a second.
Yeah, and I think it's good to know, like, maybe you're in that moment right now. Maybe you're having that weak moment right now. It's okay. We all went through it, whether it was, you know, 10 minutes or 30 minutes, like Ashley, or 4 months like me. Like everyone has those moments. Maybe you're having a bad off season right now and you're like, man, I can't snap out of it. I know how hard it is to get back in there. You know, it's not easy to go from not working out to back into working out and getting that mindset right again. It takes some time, it's going to take some time of forcing yourself to do it. And maybe if you're someone who's not able to like commit to those plans like you always want to, or you're missing workouts, like you shouldn't be just make that commitment, make that time that you say every day at this time, I'm going to do this. And then you just do it, Friday, I had a moment like that on Friday morning, where I do, I spar with Nader every Friday, and he's like a super high level guy, and he beats me up every Friday and every Wednesday. There's kind of no way around it. I'm not going to win with this guy. He's super high level, and it's like, man, I really don't want to go in and get my ass kicked on Friday. Like it's just kind of And then I like after the first round, I was like, okay, I'm happy I'm here. I'm learning. I'm all the point is I'm learning, but it's like I had to force myself. Mm-hmm. And so, but usually that's how it goes. Like in the gym, you go to the gym and you're like, I don't want to be here. And then like 4 sets in, you're like, okay, I'm glad I'm here, type of thing. So anyway, yeah. So went on a different right there, but okay, back to my question.
Yes. What personality trait or quirk do you think makes you like successful or got you to where you are today?
You know what? So one thing that I think isn't necessarily always a positive, because it's caused me a lot of problems in my life too, is I'm hyper obsessive about one thing. Mm-hmm. And it's always been that way. And it's funny is that when I talk to my friends like growing up with, I had a couple of them who were like, none of us were surprised that you got to this level of success in doing what you did. Because anytime you did anything, it was so obsessive and it was so unrealistic for anyone to like train as much as you, to do as much as you with it, that it just made sense that you're going to get good at it. And so whether I have a natural talent at certain things, whether it was hockey or whatever I was doing, or it was just hard work, I really don't know, because I never gave myself the option of figuring that out. I don't know if it was talent that got me high in hockey. I don't know if it's talent that got me high here. I think that it was an uncontrollable obsession of wanting to know everything about it, about being as good as I possibly could, about doing every single thing I could to reach that master level, right, of it. And I think that that's something that, one, I will definitely say it hindered a lot of my life too. Growing up in school, when I was playing hockey, I didn't have any friends. It was just like hockey, that's it. Hockey. There was like literally nothing else. And so it was hard to have relationships and stuff. And then as an adult, as a coach, like, that's kind of how it was too. Like I was obsessed with the team and obsessed with learning and obsessed with getting better and just wanted to get better and better and better. And it's this like unsatiable desire to get better and master this and become the best, that it consumed me. Unfortunately, it still does. I'm better at managing it now. Now I try to like step back and be like, okay, I've kind of done what I needed to. I've done, but that is something that I don't know if it was just born in me. But it's something my friends all were like, yeah, there's, we all knew that something like this was going to happen. Like whether it was pro in hockey or pro in coaching or pro in whatever, like we all knew. And it's, but they're always at the same time, they're like, we just want to make sure you balance your life though.
Yeah.
Like,
so the word balance, we got to love that.
That's the thing is like, you got to find what's your thing that makes you tick. Right.
Yeah.
And for me, and I have to be careful that nothing gets obsessive too. Like even with like this, like the boxing and stuff that I'm doing now, I have to be very careful that it doesn't, luckily it has a high injury rate of like, if you keep training it, you just don't feel good, so there's that. But I never want it to take over my love for this. Cause I shift. That's something that's a weakness of mine too. I'll shift intent. I'll shift focus. So for me, it's like, I don't want to do too many other things cause I can shift focus. And then the next thing I'm in this zone of all I want to do is this. So, but this is for me, coaching is the one, I told Kimber this too. This is kind of, I guess, probably telling this more like personal. I don't really talk about these things, but in like hockey, I got to be one of the higher rated. I was actually the highest rated there at that time it was roller in California. I got to be the highest rated at my age in roller hockey in California, right? Which was really cool. It's really hard in California. It's huge, and it was like the roller hockey capital, right? So that was cool. That was like the best I've ever did. And then we kept excelling, but I never got to like that world championship level. I never got to the world championship, never got to the pro. I played one like pro roller game, got beat up in it. And then, so like there was the last thing for me to be like the best at something, my last opportunity to be the best at something is this. And I sit on that all the time. I'm like, that's why that what keeps me really focused on this. And now, 20 years of like focus on this plus where I'm like, I can still be the best at this. Like I can still be one day be a name that's remembered in this thing. This could be my legacy type of thing. So that keeps me going now more than anything, because there's nothing really else to get that. I want to get a couple Olympia titles. I want to get be named in the best coaches there ever was type of thing. I want to be in that talk, at least in bikini. And so that keeps me going too. Now, that's something that I think that having that goal and holding on to it, even though there's no way of quantifying that, you can't really quantify it because there's just too many different variables to quantify who could be the best. But I think, I just got to keep going and give it my all and study and get better. And then that will be my one way. And that's something that keeps me excited about this every day, because there's like one more day to get it. I wake up, I say, I thank God for another day when I wake up. And then I thank God that I can do this as my job every day, and get 1 inch closer to being recognized as the best one day, so that's my why, I guess now.
That's what's up. Yeah. I was going to say that as well. I think what really sets you apart from a lot of other coaches is your enthusiasm for the sport. When I get interviewed and stuff, they'll say what's great about what you do or what sets you apart. I will say he gets just as excited as me about shows and stuff. I think it speaks volumes when somebody's enthusiastic about their job, even when they're off clock. You know what I'm saying? So I could have a conversation with you on a Sunday or whatever, and we can talk about the sport, and it's not even like you're on the clock. So you enjoy the whole sport, whether it's work day or not, and you definitely get so excited. I love that. You're very passionate. And I think it makes a big difference from an athlete's perspective to have a coach that's just as excited as you are about it. It helps the mood. It really puts me in a good mood. This is fun. I'm having a good time because, I think that's if you're looking back at your experiences and stuff, you can get excited for yourself for sure. But to have somebody else that's super excited for you as well is pretty incredible.
I do. It's so fun what we're doing right now.
It is fun.
I never, if I could stop time, I would do it now. I'd be I can't imagine it being better than right now, And so, we got everything going. We have good relationships. We have, that we're competing, you're setting records, we're having fun doing it. It's not this mundane, stressful, repetitive have to thing. It's we're having fun, and it's it's a good time. So I hope, everyone out there who's doing your competition, just remember to take that time of the fun, because there's going to be times where it sucks. She's not going to sleep sometimes, and it's going to have her crank day, right? And it's going to be but that's just part of it. I have girls or whatever that'll DM me or email me, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm just really hungry. And I'm like, you got to learn to enjoy that, because there's no way around that. It's just the way that you're going to have to, it's just part of it, but if you can learn to love it and learn to understand that you're blessed to even do these things, it changes everything, quite a bit. And I do appreciate that too, that even the win, any win is the same level of win to you. I mean, obviously an Olympia win would be crazy, but all the other show wins though, the way it hits you, it's
they're also very important. Yes.
Yeah, it's I think people don't understand that, because I don't know if I'd be the same, with so many wins that you've had, but it's you could see the expressions on your face, and it makes me happy. It makes me tear up every time. And I'm like, good for her. Every time you win and we hear that second place number, whatever, and it's not you, and we hear it and we're like, and I see you, and you're like, you could see that moment of utter joy. And you're just
yes, okay. Yes.
And it's that is, they talk about this feeling. It's the closest I'll get to it, I think. But they talk about this feeling of the WWE wrestlers when they come out, and they come out to this stadium, and they're leaving the hall, and they're in this audience, and the audience comes out, and they're like that is such a drug to them. Once they leave WWE, a lot of them go to drugs, because they're just trying to get that euphoria of like coming out and whatnot, right? And it's just such a problem that they get so used to, they just get addicted to that like, it's almost like a drug feeling, they say.
Oh, I would have assumed it's like from the pain medicine because, man, they're beat up.
Beat up, those guys.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And they're older too. A lot of them. It's crazy.
Well, anyway, I don't want to make assumptions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But that feeling of when they're announcing those second places, like that rush I get when they're doing it, my heart rate's up. Like I'll start sweating. Like it starts when it starts about fourth place when it starts, you start put up. That they're put up. Second place, and then first place is like, boom, boom. It's such a rush every time, and I'm like, oh man, it's fun, but I love that part of it too. It's such a rush, or that first call out at a big show, or how the movement's going. Like those are happening all day. You know, I think that's why I get so tired the next day. I don't know what's going on, but the next day I'm like, I don't understand. I'm not competing. I'm not eating differently. Like nothing's coming. I'm so tired on Sunday. So, other traits that you think have helped you in your success.
So I'm going to kind of combine these two. I think I'm very realistic and I'm very self-aware, which is that against the rules to say you're self-aware? Because if you're not like, kind of like saying, so it might be the equivalent of somebody saying I'm humble. Like, are you if you say it? So kind of like, I don't know. I think I'm self-aware personally, and I think I'm realistic. And I know you're a little more optimistic than me, and I'm a little more like, well, statistically speaking, my chances here, and I don't know if I can do this. So I'm kind of like maybe to a fault, too realistic sometimes. But I do think at the end of the day, it's more of a benefit rather than a negative, because it keeps my, how do I say it? It keeps me from being discouraged or disappointed if things don't go my way, So if I kind of go at it from a more realistic approach, I kind of can have a better understanding and idea of how things might go if things go well, But again, there's so many surprises. You never know where life's going to take you. But I think for the most part, I'm pretty dang realistic.
Yeah, I would say realistic to a fault, right? Sometimes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is something that, even Tarek has said, right, before one time, he was like, Tarek told us, it's like, you're the most winning ever, and you should be on that stage. Like, this is my stage, this and that. You're
no,
right?
I don't think it like that.
Right? That's still, you gotta love Tarek. That was a good
imagine if I had that kind of personality?
I would get a little tired of it. I would get a little tired.
So like my ego was just out of this world. Like, no, I got this. This is mine. Why'd you even show up? This is mine.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Tarek was like explaining to us one time. So somewhere in between.
Maybe more on the realistic side.
You're more on the realistic side. So, but yeah, I do think that would be, you are realistic, but I don't think it ever hurts you on stage. That's the thing. It doesn't hurt you on stage, but I think that you have done some pretty amazing things, and you could have a little bit more of that in you, that more of that. Hey, no, this is mine. I am the best there ever was, that type of thing. But I understand that's not you, but it is, I get it. And I see both sides of it. And that's, as long as your realisticness is never going into self-doubt, which it doesn't. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I just try to keep it real like a banana peel.
You keep it real like a peel.
Yes. So Adam, what do you think is another trait that kind of helps you?
I think that there's, a lot of this comes down. Here's the thing. A lot of the success you're going to have in life, and a lot of the success you're going to have on stage and in the gym, it just comes down to sheer will and sheer accepting discomfort. And I think that's a trait that some people are born with and some people need to sharpen. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I've been very good at that. I've been very good at having will and discomfort, but it's not really coming from a place of I have to have better will and I have to be able to deal with the discomfort better. It's a point of not even really recognizing that I need will or discomfort and just doing it.
So you're like on autopilot.
It's autopilot, but it comes down to me. And then the reason that it's on autopilot is because of my competitive nature. I actually do better when someone's better than me than when I'm on top. And I've noticed that on a couple occasions. I need someone to push me. Mm-hmm. I need who is it? Luke Skywalker needed right? Darth Vader type of thing. I need my Darth Vader, right? I need that person out there to push me, because if someone's just a little bit better than me, then it makes me so mad. And it's not something that I have any control over or anything, but it's like in a happy mad, right? It's like, I'm not like furious. I'm just like, damn it, that guy got me. And like, he shouldn't, why am I letting him get me? Like, why am I letting that coach outperform me right now? You know, I think to myself, and I'm like, I know for sure if I try just as hard or harder, I'm better than that guy. If we had the same people, we have the same exact two people, genetically, everything, I will outperform that guy 7 days a week. So why is he outperforming me this weekend? Right. And that stuff sits with me and it keeps me up at night. And it makes me kind of crazy sometimes. And it makes me so mad, even though I'm friends with all these guys, right? The guys who are, especially the guys who do beat me. Like, I'm super good friends with them. You know, I'll text them all day. I don't even text them like when they do win. Like, I'll be like, you, whatever, like, for screwing me up this weekend or whatever. And then he'll send me back laughing faces or whatever. We'll like do, it's like a joke, but we really do. You need that person to like kind of push you. And that's what makes me able to deal with discomfort and makes me have the will, because it will drive me crazy if they outperform me again, you know? Yeah. And so I have to have my wins. They're going to have their wins. There's no way to win every single time, but it's like that. Yeah, it's just to win is just a thirst that can't be quenched for me. You know, I just can't win enough, you know?
Right.
I'd have to win everything all the time, always, forever. And it still would be like, I would still live in paranoia of someone about to beat me, you know? Yeah. Like, that was close, damn it, you know? So it's like, this ultra competitive nature I've had, I don't know why I've had it, but I've just always had it. It's just so tenacious. And like, even when I was growing up, my mom was like, you know, you gotta let your cousins win or whatever. And I was like, no, they gotta. I was like, no, they gotta earn it. Like, you should take it easy on this guy. He's just, you know, like, no, like, he's gotta earn it. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. You know, there's nothing wrong with being competitive. You can't take over though. I would be careful with it because it can make you obsessed. And that was the problem with what I did with this fitness thing, is I took it so seriously for so long, and I still do. Of course, I can't. There's a point where you can't not think about anything else, and that's where it's like, okay, this might be a little problematic. You know, I'm 40 years old. I was still single. I was like, every relationship's been ended because of fitness. I'm like, I should probably like find some balance at some point. You know, and then luckily Kimber came in and she's a really good balance because, you know, she works with me in this, and we get to talk when we talk at home. We do get to talk a lot about fitness stuff or her client stuff. So it's like the only way for me to really manage my life is to have someone involved in it too. There's just no possible way to like an outsider could even understand what I'm going through on trying to win. And if I have a weekend where I have like a rough weekend, like, she'll like console me or whatever. Like, even when I do well, and I didn't get everything, like USA's last year, we didn't win that. I thought we had the title, you know, with you had it as well. And I wasn't competing in USA, just to clarify, because it made it sound like a client. She did. We helped with the peaks and whatnot. It was fun. I was like, I was like, man, we were so close to that one. I was like, I don't understand. We were so close to that. And she's like, you'll get it next year. It's like a thing. Like, there's just certain things that I want, even if I get it before. And so yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's a big part of it. Being competitive is it drives you, you know, being competitive. And you're super competitive too, in a more caged way. But I would say, but you're super competitive, and I think that's helpful for you too, and your success. Yeah, absolutely.
So the next one, honestly, I think it applies to both of us here, but maybe more so to me because I'm a girl. I think one of my pluses that kind of helps me with my success is I'm emotionally stable. I am. I cry twice a year, guys. And when I do cry, it's because I didn't sleep and I'm cranky. But I think it's pretty good for a girl. But emotions, you know, they can really take over sometimes for people. And it can kind of be a distraction from, you know, whatever goal you're trying to do. Because whether we like to admit it or not, our sport is very, like, mental as well, right? And when your mental is off, you're not going to be able to perform properly. So I'm not sure what it is about myself that I'm, like, emotionally stable. But I, you know, kind of like we were talking about in last podcast, I separate, like, feelings from reality, you know? So I think having that kind of helps me with my journey.
Yeah, I'm glad that you talked about that part of it, because it's, we talked about that last week, was the bikini cake. To make a bikini cake, and all the ingredients to make the perfect bikini cake is it's a lot of ingredients, and so many are not physical. So many are mental. I mean, I can't even. We talked about last week too, like how many Miss Olympias just dropped off. How many girls that could have been Miss Olympia just dropped off, because you're going to run into those walls. You're going to run into those barriers where you're just like, I just can't get past this point. It might take you months. Ashley went through it in 2017 when we started coaching, to early 2018. She just wasn't leaning out. It was months. It was crazy, and but she stuck with it. She stuck with it, kept going. So you're going to run into those windows and those walls, and you're going to need to find a way to burst through them. It might take you a little while, but I think that everyone needs to understand that this is never going to be a smooth journey all the way through. Like, as Ashley always says, like no Miss Olympia has ever not lost. Like, there's no one undefeated ever in this sport. That's not a thing in this sport. So I think that that's a good thing to take into it, and understand that you're going to have to be tough, because people, it's weird judging bikini, especially bikini, because it's so not, to a lot of people, it's not obvious who the winner is, right? And there's a lot of reasons why this girl can win, this girl can win. But also, when you're being up there being judged and you're being told you're whatever, 5th place, it's like someone saying your body isn't good, right? It's like, that's how people take it. Like, it's such a different blow than failing a test. It's like, no, it's my body's worse than that person's, right? And if you take it that way, then it becomes, the impact on it is so negative. It could spiral out of control, for people, and become obsessed about it. But the reality is there's a lot of ways to win bikini, even just, presentation and whatnot. Different judges judge different ways and things. So it's tough to like say, hey, just remember, it could be anyone's day, and like just accept that, because you're sitting there, you just got 5th place, and you're trying to be like, accept that because Coach Adam said, oh, just accept it. It's just a crappy reason to accept something, but it's the reality of things. The sport is highly variable. There's a high amount of variables, different judges, different posing, different lighting. I mean, everything. So you're going to have to be really, really tough and work on that in this sport, to be mentally tough with everything, with the hunger, with the food, with the judging, with everything. And your journey is going to have ups and downs, and probably a lot more downs than ups. And then once you start getting a lot of ups, then you'll be a little bit more consistent on ups. But for the most part, it's going to be, I mean, if you guys watch, maybe some of you guys watch like the show reviews I do, you'll see girls top 5 on top of the world the next week, 15th place, top 4, 15th place, top 3, 15th place. It's like, how does that happen so much in bikini, right? And then that they win, you'll start seeing them, first, second, third, and like they've fixed the problems, right? So just understand that it's tough. You're gonna have to be tough in this sport. You're gonna have to work on that mental toughness and being what did you say?
I said emotionally stable.
Emotionally stable, yeah, and that's a skill on its own. It's a skill on its own. So
yeah, true. So Adam, what about you? What's your next one? I got some to add if you ran out.
Yeah. I'd be curious. I'd be curious of that. One thing. Here's the thing. I like to, and this is one of your things you talked about, commitment to learning too. If I can jump into that. Yeah. One thing,
I was actually about to say that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I was going to say, you're not afraid to say, I don't know. And you're always willing to learn more.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. So I swear you read my mind.
Like look at us. Look at it. There's so many moments.
See how good
like
I know you.
We have so many moments that are weird like that.
And you don't even know my middle name. Shame on you.
Jean.
Yes.
Ashley Jane.
Ashley Jane.
Ashley Jane, get over here and eat that rice. Carbs aren't going to kill you, Ashley Jane. So that's our. So the commitment to learning part, and I think that the whole learning thing, I think that it's, I don't know, bodybuilding to me, especially bikini, is like an art form, and I've noticed that in more than any other division, it's more art than anything. And the guys that try to do it technically they never really excel. It's always art form, right? And how their eye is and how good their eye is. And yes, there's the technical side of it, the science side of it. But if you have pure science guys, they just never excel in bikini. It's like, you just don't see it happen, and it's because they're trying to figure out a formula. And it's like, there's first thing you got to figure out, there's no formula, You have to really be willing to learn and willing to let go of some of that science and just trust your eye. And you got to train your eye more than anything if you're going to be good in bikini coach. It's so important. And so there's not going to be a formula for that. There's not going to be a scientific reason to explain why this girl looks better that way and this girl looks better that way. It's just how you've trained your eye. So for me, the learning part of it is, and that's one of the reasons I do a lot of these bikini videos. I started doing them. My eyes started getting better and better and better, right? And I was like, okay, I need to keep doing these, even though there's times I don't want to do them. Like, sometimes I just don't want to. Milena's knows. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to film this. I got to study this. It's going to take me like 3 hours. Like, it's a whole thing. But then the benefit of it is my eyes getting better and better and better. So that part of it is something that when I recognize something's working, even though it's inconvenient and it's making me better, which is making the client better, then I need to keep doing it, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing is, like you said, if I don't know about something, never, ever as a coach, try to fill someone with fluff and be like, oh, this is why. Like, just say you don't know and you'll know in a day, right? Because you're going to figure it out in a day if you really care. And so that's something that was told me way back when, and that's just something I was committed to. And so the other thing is with the learning and how it kind of started was when I was younger, I was like a really skinny guy and, wrestling at 119 skinny. And so when I was trying to bodybuild, I was never just a genetically gifted guy. And so I knew, okay, the only way that I'm going to have any advantage over all these guys who are genetically gifted is going to be the science of bodybuilding and the reasons why. And back then there was no internet, there was no YouTube or anything like that. So for me, it was like, okay, it's a huge advantage if I can take the time to learn these things better than anyone else, because I can have that as my own tools to outperform them. Since genetically I can't outperform them, mm-hmm. I can be smarter and beat them that way. That's the only way I can beat them. I can work just as hard or harder. I can know more about the science. I can have that as an edge. And so when that became like a thing, and I worked in supplement stores at 16, I would read every magazine. I'd read all the books. I'd read everything in there. And that's all when no customers there, all you do is read, because there was no internet, there's no phones. It's kind of a crazy time to think about. Like, if you didn't have that, you'd just be sitting there. So that's what I did is I read my stuff. So that's where it initiated, and it just became a thing. And now that there's so much more information, it's just so nice to like be able to learn so much. But at the same time, I still don't consider myself an expert, because there's just so many things I don't know still. And so what I try to do as a coach is I try to know as much as I can about everything, knowing that I don't know everything about anything. And so that's what a good coach, I think, should do. You should know as much as you can about your sport specifically, and then everything that goes into your sport, whether it be, like I had the other day on YouTube, I had a girl who's like a food specialist, right? Like, I'm not going to know as much about that as she does, because that's what she does. Right. That's her thing, right? But she's not going to know as much about competing as I do, because that's my thing. So, but I do need to still know about that. I still need to know a little bit about that, mm-hmm. and enough to know. I still need to know enough about hormones. I still need to know enough about exercise science and how they think, right? But there's going to be specialists in each of those that know everything about that I need to have communication with and ask questions to and have a good relationship. So a lot of it's been, networking and building my access to these people, and that makes me better, because now I have them with me and with us, type of thing. So so being humble to the point where you don't think you know everything, being willing to commit to learn, and really being able to know as a coach, like, you need to have other experts in your corners that can help you, because you're not going to know everything about everything, and it's just, there's going to be situations that come up. Most are normal situations. Most are daily things, but there's going to be some that you just don't know about, right. Just like, like that. I was promoting those brownies and I didn't know they were way off. Right. I didn't know that, but I'm not a, one, that's shady and I shouldn't have to know that. But two is that, luckily she was able to show me tests and help me with that and explain the different things on foods and how they're getting away with saying these things that they're not supposed to. So yeah, so there you go.
There you go.
Being willing to learn, being committed to learning, but also accepting that you're not the smartest guy in the room every time, right. And there's going to be people that knows more than you, and learning from them.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. Yes. So the next one for me is a little bit more of a quirk than a personality trait, but I'm not so much a foodie, all right, which I know is so strange because most competitors are obsessed with food, but I feel like that's one of my strengths as a competitor. Now, that's not to say that like I don't enjoy food. Like, I do. Food's nice. Food's good. I like my prep food, but I'm not like obsessing over when my cheat meal is after the show or something. You know what I mean? It seems like in comparison to other competitors, I'm much more stable with food. I'm much more like, oh, it's a great thing. It's good, but I'm not like my happiness doesn't surround food, like it can be with some competitors. So I find that that's definitely been a benefit. I didn't used to be that way though. When I started competing in the beginning, I used to obsess over food, and I used to love getting the Sunday newspapers with the ads for the grocery stores. I would circle what I wanted and thinking about my cheat meal after the show that was in 2 months. Like, I used to be one of those girls, and I feel like that's where most people are now, is like having that those cravings and just wanting to eat. And me, not so much. I'm very much like satisfied with my food that I have, and I don't really crave nachos and cheese. I'd much rather have my chicken and broccoli. Like, I'm happy with it. So I think that's helped me.
That's good. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. And I think that that's something that grows with people too.
Yeah.
My first couple of shows, it was, I guess you'd probably call it as like a binge, right? After the show, just go and eat everything the first couple shows. And like the third show, I remember I ate so much I threw up, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. And then after that, I just ate like something real small. And then after like 10 shows in, I really didn't want to eat anything at that point. I was just like, I'll just do like my normal hamburger or whatever. It was like not even a big burger. It would just be like a simple one type of thing, which is like, totally acceptable on plans off season type of thing. But it was never anything. I think that it just comes with time, like of doing it so much. And I think after a certain point, you're just like, I'm just sick of feeling that way. And I think it's not the desire, it's the feeling.
Yeah.
The next day feeling and the after meal feeling. Like, is it really worth it? Like, I want it, but is it really worth it? Because 30 minutes later, I'm going to have acid reflux. I'm going to feel bloated. I'm going to be worried that I lost my abs. I'm going to be like psychologically thinking, man, I did so much cardio to get that. I don't really want to lose that so quick. And it's like, you add all these things up. You're like, it's really just not, just give me the chicken. It's like, you just get to that point. So hopefully a lot of you will learn that from I guess from my experience on that. Have you done that too? Or
who hasn't, Adam?
Okay, good. From our experience, and it's like, yeah, it's really not that worth it. It feels like it's worth it in the moment. And there was this trainer I used to have a long time ago named Pendar. He was he told me this one time. I was 18 when I was managing this gym, maybe 19, as a fitness manager for a 24-hour, and he was a trainer that I had working at that gym under me. And he told me this so long ago. So what is that, 21 years or 22 years ago? And I still remember it because it was so impactful. He said, what I've noticed is that most of the people who have these big cheat meals, they don't really want the whole meal. They just want the taste of it. And whatever portion size they're given, they'll finish. So even if you had like someone wanted a big cheesecake and it was like this big cheesecake and it's like this big thing and it's fun, if you gave them that, or you gave them like a tiny cheesecake, like a 1/8 of that one, they would eat both of them and be just as satiated at the end of each one. Mm-hmm. He's like, so it's really just how much they're putting on your plate, and they just want that taste, period. So why can't we transfer that taste to a couple bites?
Right.
Because if that was all you're given, you'd be happy with that, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's a really good point, because it really is that way. You have a donut, whether you have this huge donut like this and it's fun and it's like dumb and you make fun, like you take a picture of it, like, oh, this donut's so huge, right? But if you have a little one, you're not like less satiated with the little one, And so when I thought about that, I was able to kind of change my mindset too a little bit of having just a taste of things now. And you do that too. You have like a taste.
Yeah. I'm much more of a sampler. Like in my ideal scenario, if I were to go out after a show or whatever, I would like everyone to order something different, and I like pick little things just to try. Like I'm a sampler for sure. I don't like big meals. I just want to taste. I want to see. My taste buds get curious. They want to see what it tastes like.
Yeah.
That's
what it's funny is I'll have I have all these like little like Mexican candies at the house, but they're all like have like one bite and then I put it back. So if you go to my pantry, it's all these like little Mexican candies that are like 20 calories are taken out. Like after workout, I'll take like a bite, like one bite of it. It's so funny. Yeah. So they're all just it takes me like forever to get through like those little, like there's little chocolate bars that are called Carlos V, and they're like this, and I'll eat, it's only 90 calories in the whole bar, but I only want the taste. So I'll take a bite. It's like 20 calorie bite or so. I put it away because it doesn't do anything more for me to have the whole thing. Like it's just, I just wanted the taste, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's a whole bunch of them in the house. And then your almonds too. Kimber was like, she's like, that's a big bag of almonds. The almonds you gave me.
Oh, those little sample size almonds. Those are adorable.
They're the best. Those almonds are so good.
They're
I'm like,
portion controlled.
yeah. I'm like, they're good, but they're like 10 calories per almond. So I only do like a couple at a time.
Well, just do the bag. It's 50 calories
50
a bag.
calories each one. Yeah, well, I know, but I just, I don't need that's the thing is I don't need the taste all the way, right? But for meals, I want the whole meal. But if it's like an extra,
one almond,
isn't that crazy? I know, but that's just how it's weird, right? It's weird, especially because I'm a bigger guy. Like I only eat like little bites. I'll get your little almond. I'll take 2 of them and I'll fold it up and put it up.
That's funny. Oh my god!
I'm like, the calories. I already got the taste. I'm good, you know. So they're like coated. They're not just all of it. Like it's a funny. It sounds weird now. It sounds weird that I'm saying it, but I do it. Whatever.
I mean, they're already small portions. That's why I'm surprised. And like, well, the point of buying those ones because they're small portions.
Yeah.
But you're really reducing the portions. Man, I should have gotten you the individually wrapped almond.
Individually wrapped.
One almond in a wrapper.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Like, oh, this is one almond.
But
in my
it's a
package.
good thing to show people, right? You can train yourself to just have the taste versus finishing it all through, and it's the same pleasure because you know, instead of just scarfing through it, I'll eat it, I'll enjoy it, I'll chew it, make sure I chew it right. You know, don't just scarf it down like my dog. Just swallows everything she sees. But yeah, no, it works for me. I don't know. Maybe that's just that's something you could train yourself to do.
Absolutely. Is there any more traits that you find help you along the way to become successful? Or should we move on to the traits that hurt you?
Yeah, I think those are, I would say, the primary
top ones.
The top ones.
Those are the ones I would have
commitment.
said for you too.
Yeah, just commitment.
I
to
would
it.
say like, kind of like you talked about it too, but I also find like this could also be something that might hold you back. You're type A to, is it type A?
Yeah.
You're type A to a fault, like to where you always got to be go, 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 go and never like stop. Like never have like a do nothing day. Like you're just like always got to be doing something, got to be productive like 24/7. Well, maybe not when you're sleeping, but always doing something every day. Like you never have a day where you're just like, I'm just going to relax at home and just
it does hurt.
do nothing.
It does hurt sometimes because you have to do it 7. There's no like my day offs aren't real day offs, you know? And so it's everyone else would see it and they're like, man, you don't ever take it. You could be on the computer like at least a couple hours a day, even on like your day off. I'm like, yeah, dude, there's a lot going on here. We got a lot of people that depend on me doing this. And I think that that's one of the things you wrote down too is responsibility, you know, and the response. I take that with a very heavy weight, you know, and I take it very seriously. So, on like how the team works, you know, all the coaches, I always think of it as like, you know, if I didn't have this, so the coaches they really help me a lot here, you know, well, not just with the clients, with everything, but they keep me accountable too, because I can't relax because if I do, then they suffer for it, you know. If I don't do the content, if I don't do the email inquiries, if I don't do the, you know, the payment update plans or whatever it is, you know, if I don't do those things, the coaches suffer for it. And that's not fair for me. I take that responsibility like as if it was like, you know, I don't know how to, I just take it very, very seriously. So it's nice because it keeps me accountable to doing my job too. Cause I won't slack because of them. I have a loyalty to you guys and there's just no way I'll slack on that. But it also comes with this fault is, you work 7 days a week, you know. I want to go see Kimber's family, but she's kind of like from a farm in the middle of the country, and they don't have that type of, you know, I don't know if I can do videos from their farm or whatnot, because there's nothing really there. It's just like it's a farm. And so, you know, I haven't been able to go out there, and I want to go out there. So there's like things like that, you know, that do affect your life. And then of course, you know, mentally you got to be tough to work every day forever. but I don't know. I enjoy it still. I just get it done and then I don't think about it. And that's something that I learned from, and I take a lot of the stuff I learned from very successful people. I listen, as you guys have heard too, I listen to a lot of, you know, Patrick Big-David and Elon Musk and all these like top guys that are like the top in their field. And I learned from them. And one thing that, one of the CEOs, I think it was a Chase CEO at one time was saying, he was saying, how do you get so much done in a day? And he said, when I open an email, I answer it. He's like, that's the important thing. He's like, you don't think about it. You don't do this. You open the email, you make a decision, you answer it. Even if the decision's a big decision, you stick to that decision, you make it, and you get done with it. Otherwise, you'll never get anything done. And so for me, it's like, okay, I get the email, open it, answer it, get it done. You know, and then ever since then, I've been like, okay, don't let anything accumulate. Just do it. And if you do it, then you're going to be fine. But if you don't do it, then it accumulates. Then you're like, oh, I got so much to do, you know? So so it's just
a good
learning those things. So
absolutely.
Same thing with like morning cardio, just do it.
Yep. Get out of the way. That way you don't have to think about it and it kind of weigh down the rest of your daytime, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're always thinking about. So I'm going to go down my list of my many, many personality flaws and my quirk flaws. There's so many. There's like a whole freaking phone book of it, but I limited it to like 6, my top 6. I find for me, something I need to be aware of is I oftentimes bite off more than I can chew.
Yeah.
I am a big, I always say like, take all those opportunities while you can. But man, sometimes I overdo it and then I end up overwhelming myself, especially if it's like before a show and like, oh, this awesome photographer wants to shoot this and this and this. And I'm like, yeah, sounds great in the moment. And then I realize I'm in the moment and I'm like, I just need to chill. Like I just overbooked myself. So that is one of my many flaws. And I'll just go down the list.
I remember that. I will give you guys insight into that. Luckily, you've been better at it lately.
Yes.
You recognized it. But I remember your 2018 Olympia, you were on your feet for 19 hours before the Olympia, the day before the Olympia. 19. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah. And when you're on your feet for 19, you're not eating as well. You're not getting your water in as much. You're sweating more. It's not easy to manage before a big show. But yeah, I remember that. I was like, is it always like this for you? You're like, yeah, you got this photographer, this showing, this booth, this, that. I was like, man, this is crazy. So
yeah, I guess I don't want to let people down either. And I just want to but I have been better with it and just kind of limiting my commitments, especially before a show, so I can focus on the show and I'm not stressed and have a little downtime before I compete. So have been better at that, can still do better. Also, I would say I'm a morning person to a fault, meaning like if it's not done in the morning, it's probably going to be 50% intensity workout. If it's in before noon, I'm like, okay, I'm good. But the longer I wait, the more I lose my motivation. And I think some of this is mental too, but I definitely have more energy in the morning, but sometimes, let's be real, I can't work out in the morning depending on the scenario if I'm traveling or whatever. So I need to be better at like being like, you know what, it's 2 p.m., but I'm still going to kill this workout, because I think some of it's like a mental barrier because I've convinced myself I'm a morning person so much, which I definitely am. I wake up at like 3 a.m. without an alarm clock.
it's crazy.
Yeah. Not precise with food. And this is one of the scenarios. If you're my client listening, do as I say, not as I do. My food scale's been broken since 2018. I just eyeball things. It hasn't really hurt me yet, though. I mean, I find that it hasn't really been an issue, but it could be better for data purposes. So I could be better than that, but I don't want to be. Also, I'm a picky eater.
You're really picky.
I am a picky eater. I don't eat seafood. I don't like eggs unless they're sweetened like muscle egg is. So muscle egg, muscleegg.com/Team Elite Physique for a little discount on your muscle egg. But legitimately, that's the only way I can eat eggs. And I'm not just saying that because I'm sponsored by them. Like, it's the only way I can eat eggs. I don't like savory eggs. I don't really like turkey. Oh, no, turkey. No. Mm-mm.
You like legit only like chicken.
I don't like
steak once in a while.
Steak is okay every once in a while, depending on how it's cooked. It has to be like well done, like crispy. I don't like pork. Nothing under the sea. Let's make that clear. Nothing that swims under there. No shrimp. No whale. Nothing.
Whale.
I don't know what you seafood eaters eat. But yeah, I'm very picky. Very, very picky. So I could have more options if I wasn't as picky, but then again, I'm satisfied with my food. But different protein sources every once in a while would be kind of nice.
You know what's funny? Yesterday I was thinking about you because it was so stupid. I didn't know it was gonna be this stupid, but it was. So I was trying to be like husband of the year yesterday, and Kimber always cooks my food every morning. Every morning since I've known her, she's cooked every breakfast for me. I don't think she's missed a breakfast. Even when she's gone, she'll cook like 3 of them. And I'm so spoiled, breakfast, it could be breakfast, lunch, dinner. She'll make everything all the time. Like she has it's great. it's a great thing, it's just funny because I told my mom and my family when I was like, how much you ruin the boys in our family because we just sit there growing up with just women feeding us the whole time. Like real life isn't like that, And they're like, no, you'll find someone who'll take care of you like that. I promise. It's like real traditional, Hispanic family. Like it's so bad. It's really bad. But I didn't know any better. I was like 8. Anyway, so she takes really good care. So I'm like, I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna do this whole thing for her yesterday. And I was like, she likes shrimp. So I bought shrimp. I was gonna barbecue shrimp. I made homemade tortillas and all these things for her. Right? I was like, no, I want to do it all for you. And then I bought 2 pounds of shrimp, but I didn't realize how much work goes into that. And you have to de-peel everything, and then you have to de-vein it, and then you have to like de-poop it.
Ew.
Each one.
De-poop it.
Yeah, you cut it and take the little
gross.
like intestine thing out of the back of it. So there was like 2. So I was sitting there for, I don't know, an hour and a half, probably, maybe 2, doing this 2 pounds of shrimp, making these shish kebabs. And I was just thinking of how gross this is. And I didn't know I got myself into this. I honestly thought you just threw it on the grill at the shish kebab, like, right? Because I've seen it before where at restaurants, you peel it off, but I didn't realize like how much was still being left in there. And so I was like, I don't want to do that to her. I didn't realize how much of this stuff was in there, because I guess I'm just super spoiled. I just buy it, at the restaurants. And then so I was like, oh, make tortillas, and that'll be the part where I make. But I was sitting there for 2 hours covered in shrimp guts and shell. And I'm like, if Ashley came in right now, she would vomit. Like she would absolutely vomit. It smelled. There was fish, like this shrimp poop on my hand. It was so gross. Anyway, so I did it, and then Kipper kept coming over. She's like, I'll help you. He's like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be like, you cook for me all the time. I'm going to do this. And it was so fun. I was just thinking of you. I was like, this is so gross. This is like,
well, I mean, with every animal it's just, they didn't prepare it as much, but chicken, the same thing. I like chicken. It's like my favorite meat, but I'm sure it kind of gets gross when you have to cut it up.
I guess, yeah.
Good thing I don't have to.
Yeah, right. So it's shrimp, de-shelling and de-pooping and de-veining shrimp is not a fast process.
No.
Anyway.
And then I would also say one of my quirk flaws is, okay, I've been spoiled my entire life when it comes to training. So in order for me to get a good workout, I at least need a babysitter, if not a trainer. So trainer, right? Thank God for Sam. Shout out to Sam Catlin, making sure I'm staying on track. She trains me. But when she's not, it's hard for me to lift myself and not have a good work, or it's hard for me to get a good workout if someone's not at least there holding me accountable at the very least. So I think that comes from just like my years of gymnastics and track. Like I said, I've always had a coach watching over me, do this, that. And it's kind of like a flaw now these days, because now I'm like, I don't know. Not that I don't know how to train. I know how to train, but it's just I can't get in the zone as much if somebody's not there looking over me, at least.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common though.
Yeah.
Like not to the extent of where you do it, because you do it like 5 days a week, right? Coaching, training, 5 days. Yeah. So that's an awesome thing that you can do that though. But I think that's normal, because when I work out with a trainer, I work out so much more intensely. Mm-hmm. Like it's such a different workout, So I think that's great that you've recognized that and that you've solved that problem too. But you did work out pretty decently. You worked out pretty decently before. But yeah, your intensity level, and I think that you could attribute that to your growth for the last, especially the last year and a half. Yeah. Your intensity of workouts have gotten, really, really high on a daily basis. So it's a good investment that you've been making on that time-wise. And I'm really happy that Sam is here all the time for that too.
Yes, thank you, Sam. Shout out Sam.
Yeah, Woo. She get busy with her, people who want to train with her.
I see why.
Yeah.
She's the best. Okay, so we got a little bit of time left. So rapid fire, Adam, what are some personality traits or quirks that's holding you back these days?
I would say the overcommitment to, and I think that a lot of people can do this too, the overcommitment to the obsession stage of it, right? Because there's no way to do this at the level that we do it at without being somewhat obsessed with it. There's just, right. I mean, honestly, anyone that was doing, like, saw what we did in this daily, they would be like, man, you've done that every day like that for how many years? Like, that's, we don't do it in 16-week periods. This is not a vacation. We're not touristing fitness. We are living fitness at an extreme level. And so I will say with that becomes the you can crawl down that like rabbit hole of fitness and you just get stuck in that hole and there's just nothing else, And so that would be my probably my biggest flaw, was like just kind of not having relationships with anyone, like whether it's friends, even family, whatnot. And I was just all fitness all the time. That's all it was. And that's like my baby. I mean, I've been married to fitness for my whole life, basically, And so that making room for and recognizing that, I think, was one of my biggest flaws. And I think that some people go through that. And I will say it's not too hard to do it if you just focus on doing it. You have to recognize that you're doing it. You know, you have to go home, make sure that you're giving time to other people, and you're doing things. You're returning texts. You're, calling your mom. Like, you're just trying not to let it fully obsess and take over your life, because it can do that. And then in some ways you kind of have to do that to be good at it, because there's so many people who are trying to be good at it. You kind of have to put that extra effort out to be that good. So I'll say that's one thing that I've done is a really bad trait, is just be okay with that. Being okay with being obsessed with it, and being okay with it isolating me, and being just for years just alone as a coach, and and like just focusing on it and it being my only thing. So you could do that as an athlete too. You could do your prep and just like isolate everyone and push everyone away. But one day you're going to keep pushing people away and they're not going to be there anymore. So you have to be, have that, be a little bit more balanced on that. I learned that lesson. Took me a lot of years to learn that lesson. So that would be the one thing, just it taking over all priority of my life, I think is a positive and a negative.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would also say you have like this bad quirk where you leave like drinks half consumed around everywhere. And I'm just thinking you would be so much more hydrated, and your brain would work much better if you're hydrated if you drink the whole thing.
Yeah. What is that?
I don't know.
What is that though?
I'm just teasing. It's not a big deal.
What is it though? It's so weird.
He'll leave drinks everywhere, half drink. Everywhere. I used to clean up after it by drinking the rest. But then I just gave up. So. It's so bad. I don't understand why it's a thing though. It doesn't even make sense. It's just everywhere. I'll like walk out the gym sometimes and see like 4. Like, oh, that's you. Adam was here. Adam was here.
It's funny is I had one out the other day. I took my food out, had my drink out, and then I took another one out. And then I left it on the counter. And then, so I had 2 drinks out, right? That weren't the same drink, right? They're Ghost Energy drink. And then I was about to open the new one. And then I saw this one. It was still cold. And then I took it out. I was like, is this mine? To Kimber, she's like, yeah. I'm like, why do I have 2 of them? She's like, I don't know. I saw you take the other one out. I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, you're messing with me? She's like, no, I didn't. That's yours. like this is still cold. She's like, yeah, I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, man, I do it so instinctually. It's so funny.
I wonder if you just had a gallon to carry around if you'd lose that too. Because it's so big and like you only have one of them.
So,
like, I don't know what.
So to all the promoters and everyone out there at these shows, when there's half empty drinks left out, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'll probably leave 3 at your show at some point and I'll get 1 fully consumed drink by the end of the day.
It's okay. That's what makes you. And good thing you have more good qualities than bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this episode really got to get you guys to think like what's holding you back and what's helping you. Because sometimes it's good to get deep in the feels.
Yeah.
We got deep in the feels today. And kind of like analyze it, because if you're aware of it, you can kind of avoid it in some scenarios, or at least improve.
Yeah. I think that was fun. I like that a lot.
Woot.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a closer to the chest one, right? Too. Talk about what you think helps us tick and makes us more successful, and our flaws too. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything other ones that I want to leave off on, but I think that we got it. I think we did a good job.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So what are your guys'?
Yeah, we need to know.
We need more tools and more topics for future. So maybe you have a good one you can leave in the comments. Anyway, with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in. There is a show this weekend in Vegas. The Patriots will be there. Yeah, there is.
No way.
Yeah, there's a show.
Oh man.
I don't know if you knew that or not. There's a show this Saturday.
I might want to participate. I don't know. Huh. Well, let me think about that for a second.
Okay.
I mean, it is close. It's like what, 20 minutes from here? No, less. 15,
actually, from here it's 10 minutes from the gym.
10 minutes from here. I don't know.
Lexus Park.
We'll see. We'll see what my schedule looks like. I might be able to pencil it in.
Well, maybe we'll see you there. I'll definitely be there. Bye, guys.
Bye.